Hello leaders, Patrick Jinks here, leadership and strategy coach and president of the Jinks Perspective. This is part 3 of our brand new 5x5 nonprofit CEO framework. Let's cue it up. A couple of weeks ago, we announced and introduced our brand new nonprofit CEO leadership framework, the 5x5 CEO Perspective Leadership Matrix. This is a sister framework to the 5x5 organizational matrix that many of you are familiar with, but this one focuses on the competencies of the CEO as an individual. In the video description below this video, we've placed a link that provides you with free access to the 5x5 CEO self-assessment tool. So if you are a CEO or an aspiring CEO of a nonprofit, I want to encourage you to take advantage of it. Okay, last week we covered the second pillar of alignment and execution. This week we unpack pillar 3, which is business and community. This pillar is about the business side of being a nonprofit CEO. By the way, if you're wondering about where I stand on whether or not a nonprofit organization is a business, that's an age-old debate, the answer is yes, it is a business. It's a unique kind of business, but it is definitely a business. If you wish to debate that with me, give me a call and we'll chat. A nonprofit CEO has to be more than a fundraiser, more than a community leader, more than a compassionate person. There is a business acumen required by the CEO if the organization is going to truly thrive. That acumen is both internal and external, business and community. Let's start with the first component, finance and administration. The assessment question is, do you understand and effectively manage the organization's finance and administrative functions? Now, to be clear, you don't have to be a financial wizard or an accountant to lead a nonprofit, but you do have to have a general grasp on the basics. You should be able to build a budget. You should know how to read a balance sheet, a cash flow statement, and a statement of activities, or in the business world, that's an income statement. Believe me, these statements tell a story, and you should be able to tell that story by looking at those statements. You may not be a large enough organization to have a finance director or a chief financial officer, but somehow you must have someone with the expertise, even if you outsource it. A place to start is with your board. A finance committee is one of the most important committees of the board, and the treasurer of an organization plays a critical role, of course. But you as CEO need some understanding, and it's not just finance. While you might not be an HR expert certified by SHRM, you need a pretty good working knowledge of HR tenets, from the legal aspects to the best practices. I've seen many CEOs blindsided by their lack of HR knowledge. Personnel issues can get quite serious. There's hours worth of content we could put here, but the bottom line is that if you are behind the curve in your operational business competence, take some time to fill your knowledge gaps. We can say the same thing about the second element in this pillar, which is marketing and resource development. And again, in a very small organization, we understand the CEO has to do a lot of things. But even in larger organizations where the luxury of a marketing and a fundraising staff are in place, the CEO still needs a strategic level skill set and competence. And marketing and fund development go hand in hand. They're not completely separate functions. A lot of organizations have these in silos. So the assessment question here is, do you understand and effectively manage the organization's marketing and resource development functions? We separate these particular functions because they're such key strategic drivers. There are not many strategic plans that I've been a part of that don't incorporate some degree of branding, fund development, marketing, visibility, donor relations, or something like that. Element 3 in this pillar is nonprofit acumen. Now, we've already acknowledged that nonprofits are businesses, but they are unique businesses. I've seen corporate leaders step into CEO roles at nonprofits with years of experience who struggle when they start to understand and experience the hidden differences of running a nonprofit. So the assessment question here is, do you understand and effectively manage the unique nuances of a nonprofit operation? For example, business or government regulations are different. Volunteer management is challenging. Fundraising is different from product sales. Making work tangible to donors requires very unique skill. Number 4 is issue expertise. For example, if your organization is in the early childhood arena, the CEO needs to be able to understand and articulate the needs, the issues, the assets, the research strategies, and more. In fact, the CEO needs what Noel Tishy calls a teachable point of view. And if you want to be invited to the community tables that affect early childhood, you have to prove yourself credible and valuable at those tables. The same goes with homelessness or health or domestic violence, whatever your organization's mission is. Now, this doesn't mean you might not have staff members who are actually more knowledgeable than you on some specific aspects of the work, but the CEO has to demonstrate a level of expertise. It's okay to start out in an executive role with a knowledge gap, but it's critical to work hard to get up to speed quickly. You must know what you don't know and intentionally work to fill the gap. You need to be a subject matter expert in the issue, at least at the macro level. The assessment question here is, are you knowledgeable of the community issues and assets related to your mission? The need and the resources to address the need go hand in hand. The final element of this pillar is political savvy. Now, we don't necessarily mean governmental politics. We're talking more about community politics, or politics in the broader sense of the word, the people politics. The assessment question here is, do you artfully navigate the political nuances of the community on behalf of the organization? Does the CEO know who is who and what are the various alliances and alignments and positions and relationships and points of view that community influencers have? The CEO needs to understand the heartbeat, to have their finger on the pulse of the community, as it were. Don't misunderstand this element as the ability to manipulate, because we're not talking about that. We're talking about awareness of the political landscape and artful influence in aligning community interests with your mission work. That's it for Pillar 3, and that's the Jinx perspective for this week. We will cover the 4th of the 5 pillars next week, which is vision and communication. Until then, as always, if you'd like to explore ways that the Jinx perspective can help you and your organization achieve greater clarity, simplicity, and alignment in your mission work, reach out and schedule a free discovery call with me by clicking a link in the video description we've provided below. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon to notify you when we drop new episodes. And finally, share this with a friend. We'll see you here next week.